Well, hello, welcome again to a reading of 1 Peter, and I'm up to the beginning of chapter 2. Apothemenoi un passan kakian kai pantodolon kai hypokrises kai phthonus kai passas katalalias hos artigeneta brefe to logikon adolon gala epipothesati hine in auto exetheti es soterian. I'll just pause there. As I've mentioned before, you should have a commentary with you in reading this because the Greek is complicated and there are various different interpretations of the words. This is from apotithemi, and so this is a participle here. Having put aside, therefore, all kakian, all malice, kai pantodolon, and all guile, or deception, kai hypokrises, this is from hypokrisis, this is a third declension feminine noun. You will have come across hypokrites, a hypocrite, this is the abstract noun hypocrisy. The word originally meant to answer it back, then it came to mean to act on a stage, to be an actor. A hypocrites was originally an actor, and then it came to have this secondary meaning of someone who pretends to be someone whom they're not, as an actor does, because they're playing someone on the stage. And then the word comes to mean our modern sense of hypocrisy. Anyway, so it's from hypokrisis is the noun here. This is the accusative plural. So having put aside then all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all katalalias and all evil speaking, perhaps backbiting, some translators translate it as. We then get an imperative epipothesati, from epipotheo, it's an epsilon contract verb. Apotheo is to desire, this is just a stronger form of this. So desire, now there's a problem here with this logikon. The word is often, well almost always it seems, translated as spiritual, but the word itself doesn't really mean that. It means logical or agreeable to reason. Perhaps reasonable might be a better translation. The word does occur again in the New Testament in Romans 12:1, where the meaning reasonable or appropriate would suit the context there, and I take it to be much the same here. So we get hos artigeneta brefe firstly. This is arti meaning new or recently, and or sometimes rendered as just now. If it's just used by itself, it means new or recent. Ageneta, this is an adjective here, of course, neuter plural adjective, from connected with genao, to be born. Brefe is neuter plural from brephos, it's a third declension neuter noun. So like babes that are just born or newly born babies, desire the milk which is adolon, without guile, and it's logikon, and reasonable, or perhaps appropriate might be good here. So desire the appropriate milk without guile, like newly born babes, in order that auxatheti you might grow in him. So this is actually an aorist passive subjunctive, but it's often used in the be caused to grow. So it's just often used in the sense of active sense, you might grow in him, resulting in salvation, or towards or to salvation. Now the A seems to have caused some grief to commentators. Some regard it as very awkward. There are variant readings, and some people just don't translate it at all. It's the next section, eguses, there seems, etc., seems to be some sort of, well, quotation, inverted commas, from Psalm 34:8, And it could simply be, it's literally if, egusas there, if you taste, and the next page is just hoti krestos ho kurios, that the Lord is good. So, as often in Greek, if you took this bit first before the previous verse here, then it makes a bit more sense. So, if you have tasted that the Lord is good, then desire, etc. And take that bit first. Greek will often do this. It'll often put the the first idea second in the sentence, and you have to read it first. So that's how I would take this. So I would take it as, if you have tasted that the Lord is good, then desire, like newly born babes, the milk which is without guile and which is reasonable or appropriate, might be good here, in order that you might grow in him unto salvation. So anyway, I'll leave the commentators to discuss this at length. That's how I would take this. Hoti krestos ho kurios, that the Lord is good. Pros hon prosokominoi lithon tsonta hupa anthropon men apo dedokimas menon paradet theo eklekton entimon. I might just pause there. To whom coming, and then it agrees with lithon. So again, we're getting some hyperbaton here. I think it's so it's coming to the sonta lithon, to the living stone, which, so the relative pronoun's been put before the antecedent. That's hyperbaton, and that's a stylistic thing in Greek rhetoric. Again, the commentaries will have something to say on this. So coming to whom, the one who is the living stone. Now we get a men and a det. So do enjoy this in this particular book. The author uses men and det very carefully with that balanced sense. Sometimes in New Testament Greek you'll get a men with no det, or you'll get det with no men. This author uses this fairly properly here. So on the one hand, apo dedokimasmenon. This is from apo dokimazdo, which means to reject. But this dokimas root has the sense of to test something out, and then the apo, and then reject it. So it's just generally translated as just rejected, but it does, I think, have that extra sense of reject after being tested. So the one being rejected on the one hand by men, but chosen and precious. We get two adjectives here without a chi in the middle. Paradetheu, on the other hand, by God. Eklekton, it's ek plus this lek root. I mentioned before, I think there's two legos. There's one which is I say, and there is a root leg cognate with our word select, to choose, and this is chosen out. En timon, with honour, so precious. So just to do that bit again, so coming to the living stone, which was having been rejected by men on the one hand, but chosen precious by God. Kai autoi hos lithoid sontes oikodomes the oikos pneumatikos es hieratiuma hagion. An enenkai pneumatikas thusias eu prosdectus to theo dia Jesu Christu. And now the auto is emphatic, so you yourselves, like living stones. The author likes having these comparisons with hose. So you yourselves, like living stones, you are being built. This is passive here, present passive from oikodomio. You are being built as a oikos pneumatikos, a spiritual house, literally, into a holy hieratuma. This is a priesthood. It's a word that does appear in the Septuagint, but it's only here in the New Testament. An enenkai, pneumatikos thusios, this is an aorist infinitive. It's from pharaoh. The root is einenkon. It's normally a strong aorist, but it goes weak or strong in the New Testament, and this is the aorist infinitive ending here from the root from pharaoh, from anapharaoh. So it means to lift up, so to carry up spiritual sacrifices well acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. Again, notice the order. He always keeps to that order, the writer here. So this is you pros dectus. So you plus pros plus the dec from decamai, to receive. And so it's so acceptable, well pleasing, well accepted, well pleasing to God through Jesus Christ. Dioti peri eke en graphe, and then we get a quotation which is from Isaiah 28:16. Behold, I place in Zion, Dioti, for which reason peri eke literally includes, it's probably being used impersonally here in place of a passive, so it is included. It is contained in the scripture. So wherefore it is contained in the scripture, and then we get this verse, idu tithemi ension lithon, acrogonion eklekton entimon. You can see where he's gotten these two words here, which is used up here without any connecting chi, because it's used in the Septuagint. Kai hopistuon ebauto ume cat iskunthe. Behold, I place a stone in Zion, acrogonion, it means at the top of the corner, so it's a cornerstone. And then we get the same expression here, eklekton entimon, that we had back in verse 4. So chosen and precious, and the one believing on it or in it. You get pistuo with all sorts of different combinations in the in biblical Greek. You get pistuo plus the dative, pistuo plus eis plus accusative, pistuo plus en plus the dative, pistuo plus epi plus the dative, and here we're getting the epi. So the one believing in him, in no way he will be put to shame, from cat iskunamai. We've got ume plus the subjunctive. Humin un heitime tois pistu oisin, pistu usin apistusin de lithos hon apo dokimasan hoi oikodomuntes putos egenethe es kephalankonias. Kai lithos pros kometos kai petrus scandalu. So we get again in verse 7 we have a quotation from Psalm 118:22, and in verse 8 we get a quotation from Psalm 8:14. So therefore, heitime, well, perhaps something like the value, the price. Time has a range of meanings. It can mean honour, but it can also mean the value or the price. So possibly value might be good here. So therefore, the value is for you, the ones believing. So when it says it's entimon, precious, it's connected back with that, I think. So it's the preciousness is for you, the ones believing, but, no men this time, for those not believing, the stone which the builders have rejected, and he uses that word again we saw up there in verse, just up here in verse 4, apodokimazdo, which have rejected, this one has become into the head of the corner. Into the head of the corner. Kai, and, another quotation, the stone, now proskometas is connected with, and we're going to see the verb down here, yeah, proskopto. Proskopto, this is the abstract noun, third declension, proskoma. Proskopto is to stumble. It means to knock against, in the sense of knock your foot against, and hence to stumble. So this is a stumbling stone, or a stumbling block, sometimes rendered, or a rock of offence. Well, sorry, that's the scandalon here, I think, perhaps. So it is a stumbling block and a stone of scandal, a stone of offence. And they have stumbled. So those disobeying the word are stumbling. Eis hoc kai etethesin. Very odd expression here. It's not. This is a relative pronoun, but it's not clear exactly who the antecedent is. It must be referring back to the ones who were disobedient. Back up in here. Those who stumble, I should say, disobeying the word. Eis hoc. This again is difficult. It's something like for which reason also etethesan, they were destined. Literally, they were appointed or ordained. So for which also they were ordained. So this is an aorist passive from Tithami. So just to do this bit again, it's so those who disbelieving this happens, they who stumble, disbelieving in the word, for which reason also they were destined. Or so something perhaps like they were destined to do so. It's an awkward phrase here. Again, you need to have a look at the commentators on this one. Humes genos eklekton, we get that eklektos word again. Basileon hieratuma enthos hagion laos eis peripoiesin, hopos ta aretas ex angelete, tu ex scotus humas calisantos est tot thalmaston autufos. But you are a chosen race. Again, this is a quotation. This is from Isaiah 43:20. A royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for the possession. Peripoiesis, third declension of feminine abstract noun, meaning possession. So a people for his possession. So that hopos ta eritas ex angeleati tu ex scotus humas calisantos est thalmaston autufos. So that you might proclaim, from ex angelo, this is an aorist subjunctive, so that you might proclaim the virtues of the one having called. So this is a genitive participle, goes with the two, of the one having called you from darkness into his marvellous light. Again, this author likes to split up the article from the word it goes with, and then put something in the middle. This is very good Greek. It's very well, it's the sort of thing you'd see in 5th century good Attic Greek. You don't see it that commonly in the New Testament. So that you might report the virtues of the one having called you ex scotus. Now this is a genitive. Skotos is one of those nouns that sometimes its second declension follows the second declension, sometimes the third declension. Here it's third declension, and so this is the genitive for the declension, tos skotos. So from darkness into his marvellous light, into his amazing Thaumaston light. Verse 10 is the editor has put this in a kind of, it's a kind of quotation from Hosea 2:23, but it's not a direct quotation, so the editor's not put it in bold, but has put it in a kind of poetic form, so you can see that it is meant to be, well, perhaps some kind of quotation. So there's no antecedent to this, so it's those who once were not his people, understood, but now are the people of God. They not being shown mercy to. This is actually a passive from eleio, is to show mercy, so this is to be shown mercy, it's almost reflexive. So those who were not shown mercy to, but now they are those who have been shown mercy. So not, and this is present and, this is perfect, and this is an aorist, so both of them passive. So those not being shown mercy to, but now having been shown mercy to. And that is the first part of chapter 2.